Okay, continuing on. I want to keep playing around with this a little bit. I like how it's giving me a nice flat edge around all these pieces. And cleaning up my shapes a bit too. I think also something else we can do is, if I go back up to my brush and toggle off my mask by polygroups, I just want to tug this stuff apart just a little bit. Got a bit more parallel coming down. Maybe pointing it, or flattening it maybe, that could be interesting. Smooth that just a little bit, and then we'll tug it one more time with the polish by groups. Let's see how that looks. Just think that's a little strength in just a hair. Okay. Alright, so let's look at what we can do with the panel loops. So if I come down to panel loops and I select, say, I think this whole piece right here. Now, I want to use the append and double. What happens when you use panel loops is it cuts the geometry into separate pieces, but I like this base piece as an underlay, and so what I want to do is I want to append on a new layer. It's going to basically give me a potato chip. So if I hit this, you'll see what that does is it gives me this whole piece right here, and if I were to move it, this is actually what I want to do, something like this, I've got that whole section sitting there. So the trouble would be is if this was all unmasked, how would I select that piece very easily? It would be very difficult, except for the fact that under the brush masking tools there is a topological area right there. So that's going to allow me to just come in here and simply, anytime I move this, it's only going to select a topological region. So if I pull this and get this neat little sliver right there, maybe yank it off this side too a little bit. Actually pull it this way. Alright, and we'll do that to a couple other places as well. I think this makes sense to do on this piece as well. Place that there. And here's the thing, is this going to look okay? Yanking off? Maybe not. Not right there anyways. But it might look kind of nice right here. And I try to polish that and see what happens to the shape. That might make kind of a nice visor, actually. We could ink that up. Ooh, let's try that. Pull this back down here. And pull up on the front. A great place to hide some gauges. You know, if I needed to just get rid of this, it's simply a matter of scrubbing back my timeline, and ditching that history, trying this one more time. Actually, before I try this one more time, I think what I want to do is push this in just a hair. Okay, that should be good. Take that and go to my panel loops. Select that, and let's try the same thing, but this time you may be a little bit more careful to yank just the front of this piece up. Ooh, great idea. Sometimes the best way to deal with these things is to use the morph, target, store this. Now I can yank this up and be as sloppy as I need to be. Knowing full well that all I need to do is use the brush, morph brush, and when I draw with the morph brush, it will push that back end right back down. I can just try smoothing the in-between out a little bit here. And morph brush that back on, smooth this, morph it, smooth it, morph it, smooth it. Interesting way around things anyways. Let's smooth that out just a little bit more and go back to the polish by groups. Allow that to just play with that shape. Okay. I think this shape and this whole shape back here could both use a panel loop. Would that be interesting for air? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I just leave it like that. Okay. Okay, so we've got something fairly interesting going on here. Okay. Something else that is worth looking at, if I can decide where I want to do this, is you can chop certain things up. So, not that. Let's maybe cut up something else here. Let's do this piece right here. It should be fairly fun. And I looked at the polyframe and sliced it. Not going to worry about that. I think that could be interesting as well. And then we used our geometry, panel loops, and I'm going to toggle off double and toggle off append, and just hit panel loops. What that does is it goes ahead and just kind of chops cut lines into that. And now just come down here to my modify topology, mirror and weld. I get this really interesting cut. Alright, one more thing I want to do to this interior is make this piece right here a mesh. So what I've done is I've taken and separated it, pulled just that little piece out, and we're going to create a new mesh. So I'm going to click on this plane 3D and toggle off perspective here. If I look at this, this is just the primitive, so if I go down to the initialize tab at the bottom, I can change the number of divisions in there. Let's go to 6. And now what I want to do is basically cut a hole into this. So we can do any shape we want and replace geometries. This is going to be one piece of my mesh that I replace into every one of my faces on that piece. So I'm going to convert this, make it a polymesh 3D, and looks like it's on this side. Here we go. Go in here to my select lasso and just select out the pieces that I want to delete. Toggle that selection, and under geometry I want to delete hidden. Now come back up to the vehicle. There we go. And we need to replace all this with that. So we need to go to the MicroMesh area. It's under Geometry, Modify Topology, MicroMesh. Select this. And now if I was to render this, you can see what it's giving me is these little holes everywhere. Now to make that geometry, let's render that one more time. Not like that. We want to come in here and say convert BPR, best preview render, to geometry. And now that has become an actual piece of geometry. Now it's not very thick, so I think the best way to deal with this is to come into the extract button, make sure that my smooth is all the way off, my thickness is fairly low, and select that. That'll give me some thickness, and then accept that. Okay, so now if I look at that last extrusion, oops, is this the thick one? It's not the thickened one. Should be right here, yeah. I've got this wonderful thickened mesh that I can use with my vehicle. Now I can get rid of some of this other geometry and let that mesh just kind of hover over the surface. Toggle on perspective. And render that up. That's pretty neat, just as is.